Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are and whenever you are. Welcome to the community live stream. My name is Chuck Tomasi from ServiceNow, and this is Monday, June 29th, 2020. The topic today is script fields, and I'm going to be bolting on the GlideScopedEvaluator class to show you how to run the scripts from those scripts. So something I learned a few years ago that I found very, very powerful. Also carries with it a little bit of risk. We'll get into that in a little bit as well. Thank you for joining me today. It is my pleasure to bring you this content, inspired by the questions I get on the community, to give you the answers behind the answers, to give you the journey of discovery. You can take these skills of reverse engineering or whatever it is, bring those to your organization to be a more effective administrator and developer on the Now platform. So once again, thank you for joining me. Welcome to all the people that are out there. Well, they're just flooding in on the chat. So thank you for joining me on YouTube Live. Where is my YouTube caption? There it is. I had to look around. It's around here somewhere. YouTube caption. If you haven't already done so, don't know where you're watching this. It may be through the community. It may be on Twitch. It may be, who knows? You may be listening in the background on somebody else's computer. So thank you very much. Go over to youtube.com/user/ServiceNow community. Click that like button if there's something you find helpful, maybe mildly entertaining in here. Click the share button. If you want to share this, you know what to do. Subscribe, notifications, the whole thing on YouTube. Lets other people know that this is important and informative and got some good content there. Oh, I forgot the Twitch. Twitch.tv/NowCommunity is our backup plan in case YouTube isn't working so well today. But let's get on with it. We also invite you to go over to the developer portal, get a free personal developer instance running any of the latest 3 releases, Orlando, New York, and Madrid. I think that's what it is right now. And in about a month, we're going to be starting the early access of Paris. So get signed up. This is where you're going to get your hands on Paris first. The documentation will be released. The PDIs will be available to be upgraded if they haven't already. You can go in and upgrade it yourself. Start playing around with some of those new features. Learning plans are all being updated. Thanks to Ben and Mary Ellen, they are working hard to get all that content up to date so that you can explore those new features and try some of these things out. Turn on some of those plugins on your PDI. Great stuff that we've got all for free over there. Of course, all the API references, many of which we'll be talking about today, are going to be available there as well. Developer.servicenow.com is your home as a ServiceNow administrator or developer to learn more, to build your career, to get smarter, to dig into those things and play around on your PDI. And you know what? If the PDI goes and you say, you know, I just don't like it, it's not working right anymore, wipe it out, start over. There's zero risk to your organization to do that. So good morning to everybody. Alan and Aiden and Neha and Groove and everybody is joining in. Thank you very much for watching this. It makes me very happy that you can join me. We do have an upcoming Tech Now on the Paris release. July 28th, I believe it is. I will get a social media card up here and the registration link as soon as I get it. Hopefully I'll have it this week or early next week so we can start sharing that and get you signed up, because if you miss the Tech Now that we do live on July 28th, you will have to wait until late September, maybe even early October before I can release that publicly and you can watch it on demand. So don't miss that. I want to make sure you're aware of that it is exclusively for developers in that early access period, and that's your window to get that good information. As I mentioned, I'll be doing some JavaScript today, but hey, if you're not up on JavaScript, if this isn't your bag yet, please go over and learn from that link, bit.ly/sn-learn-js, and walk yourself through some of these completely free courses. This is not, one of those $100 packages on Udemy or Lynda. This is free. Did this out of the goodness of my heart for the community to bring their skills up to where you need to be to enroll in maybe the ServiceNow scripting course, maybe the application developer course. Maybe you just want to play around and learn on your own. This is a great spot to do it. And the script that I do write today will be available on GitHub at that link, bit.ly/sn-cls. So all my instances are offline today, so maybe an issue with the AWS. Could be the PDIs are not hosted on AWS, however, they are posted in our own data centers. There could be some maintenance going on. It might just be patch time. So PDIs do go down for maintenance occasionally. That's part of the cost you pay for getting a free instance is we got to do maintenance. It's not a guaranteed, 99.999 uptime because it is free. If you wanted to pay us $1 bazillion for a URL, you could certainly do that. I'm not sure how I hit that. We were over on this screen and really need to go to this screen. Okay. So if we have a data center down, I would be very shocked that that happened, and our people are not, they would be on it immediately. So apologies if the PDI is not available right now. If you are having it, take a look in the community. Here, I'll show you real quick. In the community, under communities, there is instance help is where you want to go. So I go down here to all forums, which is at the bottom of this list. And in there you can find, I can never find it fast enough, so I'm going to say instance help up here in the search bar. And there is a forum called instance help. If you see a common thread that says, my instance is down, my instance is down, my instance is down, subscribe to one of those and see what's going on. Okay, status is offline, instance not connecting, updated 10 minutes ago, 1 minute ago. Okay, I'm not saying you have to put a post in here. You can if you want. This is where the instance help people live, monitor, watch, respond. You get the idea. So if you're having problems with your PDI, a little side note there, since that seems to be what's going on in the thread today, live stream, I'll try to respond live. Okay, into today's topic, we're going to be talking about script fields. How do you create them? What's the difference between the script fields? How do you make a script run in your script? Because there's often times that you need to run a script in a script. I know that sounds a little bit of an inception moment, but they are very powerful. Let me give you a use case where I use one. I am importing data from one data source through a REST API, and this data is coming in, but it may be coming in from different vendors, different providers, and they have their data formatted slightly different. So I need to parse that out different per vendor. Generally, they're usually pretty consistent. Let's say, it's name, serial number, asset number. Well, this person uses commas to separate it. This other vendor uses pipe symbols. This other one has dots in there, and they're in a different order. You can configure a vendor record, so to speak, or a supplier record to parse those differently per provider and normalize it on your own data. So I will show you how you can interact with these scripts and not only just run the script, but pass parameters into the script field and have something returned out of it. So lots of interaction you can do with this, making it extremely powerful to put this in. Let's begin at the source. And what I mean by that is, let's go to Studio and look at our data model. I have a pre-existing application that I built. I'll have an update set for you if you want it. But it's very, very simple. I have a lab record. It's called lab it was a 2017 self-paced lab that we had at Knowledge 17. And in here, we have just a couple of fields. You can see we've got a number field, which is a string, typically your usual numbers, and I have a user field, which is a reference to the sys user table. Nothing magical here, very simple. I am going to add a script field so that I can put some code into a field and run that code later. So to do that, very easy. We go to our little table editor, and I am going to unimaginatively call this script. And when I use a script data type, there's two types. And I know some of you have seen this, and you probably scratch your head and say, what's the difference between a script and a script plain? I thought I knew, but when I dug in deeper, it turned out to be a different answer than I originally thought. So the script plain field is the standard script editor that we're all aware of. I thought it was script plain was, oh, we just don't have any icons. It's a plain text field. There's no line numbers. There's no indentation, blah, blah, blah. Not true. At one time, I think it was that, but it's not anymore. So that might be where my falsehood came from, was from 2008, 2010 era. Lots of changes on the platform that they don't tell me about. The script plain is this field that we're all used to. Let me just show you real quick. I'm going to, I believe it defaults to very, very large. But let's just hit update and see what we get. Okay, I want to go through just a few things that had me scratching my head. Here is my script field. It defaults to 8,000 characters. That's pretty darn big. You will not hit this. Trust me. Very large script includes and whatnot use this, and they don't run out. It's basically unlimited. And I think Steve from Sweden had this question about what's the difference between 1,000 and a 4,000. I think once you get past 1,000, it's pretty much unlimited. So don't quote me on that. You might want to do a little of your own experimentation. I have exceeded the limit on a string field. I think I've got that for another, I think it's 32,000 is where you start running into problems. But again, we'll do a little more experimentation and get back to you on that. Anyway, back to the script field. Script field created. You should know what this looks like if you've been doing any development on ServiceNow for a while. I'm going to go to my Lego app. There's my labs records and open one of these, and it did not put the field on the form. So, of course, we can always do configure form. Oh, there it is. It just had to draw. Okay. Pretty familiar stuff. You've seen this before, right? Script field, line numbers, hello world, right? We've done this a million times. Put things in here like gs.add info message and say Abel has a script. Okay? Congratulations, you created a script field. What good is it? What can we do with that? Okay. Before I get into that, let me show you the difference between script and script plain. This is script plain. Okay. Right click, show script plain. You can change this. I don't recommend changing data types often, but there are certain ones that are safe to go between type A and type B. If I change this to script and update that, you will be shocked. As I was. Did I save this? I don't remember saving it. Let's just save that real quick to make sure that we don't lose our wonderful script that we wrote in there. And of course, that also reloads the form. You go, what's the difference, Chuck? The difference is over here. Notice this little chevron thing. You've probably seen it before if you've ever written a notification. And it brings up the little field chooser. Where are the fields? Well, just like condition fields that we covered a few weeks ago, you need a dependent table. It doesn't necessarily have to be on the form. It even could be a static field, but you need a table name field to get the field picker in here. So if I wanted to get a script field, this does me absolutely no good if I don't have a table. Okay, it's just a little icon out there and people are going to go, what's that all about? Okay, you and I know that it's about a table field. So if I wanted to truly take powerful use of that and say, let's create a table field called table name, of type table name, excuse me. And then I need to do the second step, again, just like condition fields, I need to create that dependency to say, hey, Mr. Script Field, you are going to have an advanced view. Got to go there first. You are going to have an advanced view, and then under the dependent field tab, that one there, I click that, say use dependent field, and select my table field. All right, making that really big so you people watching on your mobile devices can see this. Update that, put the zoom away, and now that little triangular gizmo is going to be attached to the table field. Again, it doesn't necessarily need to be on the form, but just for demonstration purposes, it needs to have a value. If I say incident is my table of choice today, it will then populate these with not just the incident fields, but you also get some of the common glide record, glide element, glide system, glide aggregate, some handy things to put in the script field. So if I wanted to do my GS add info message. Oh, these are interesting. I could put gs.debug in there and it would say, here is the scope of the size of this thing. Okay, I'm not going to drill in there too much, but I also get my fields and say, let's start with this one. It puts in the field names for you. You don't have to remember, was it called condition? Was it called filter? Was it called query? What was that thing called? You just dump them in this way. Very similar to what we do in notifications, but it's not putting out the label and the curly brace and the $sign and all that good stuff. So that's the difference between a script and a script plain field. 99.9% of the time, I'm pretty sure you want a script plain field. So let's go back, since we don't really need a field picker chooser, unless you want that, I don't know. But again, my gut says most of the time you don't. Let's unzoom on that. We don't need that anymore. And put this back to script plain. Script plain. Just wanted to clear that one up because that can be a bit confusing. There are a lot of different data type, a lot of different field types that you can choose from. And on my table, I no longer need the table. Update. Let's get rid of that and go back to where we started. Very simple form with a very simple script in it. Okay. I am also going to put something in here for, let me get my labs records. Come on. Put something in here for Beth, a little script for her. gs.add info message. Beth has a script too. Semicolon. Copy that because we're going to take that over and do something similar for Fred. Okay, this is Fred's script. Fred / so we don't mess up our quotes. Close that out and update. Great. So we have some scripts. What good is that? Well, I need to bring up VS Code because it has a very easy sample I want you to follow along with. Hopefully we didn't hit another patch update on this. Yeah, we did. That's nice. There's always release notes. Please pay attention to them. File, open folder. Let's go get the scripts for today's show. Google Drive, NOWCommunity. I don't remember if I put it in temp or if I actually did move it in here. I do have it in the repo. I haven't committed it yet, so you won't see it until I'm done with the show. Ha ha ha. Okay, let's look at a UI action that can actually do something for us. This is where GlideScopedEvaluator comes in. You instantiate the object, whoop, new GlideScopedEvaluator. A lot of times it's just called evaluator. You can call it E, you can call it X, you can call it Fred. I don't care. Your variables, your naming structure. Then I use that to call the method evaluateScript. And what you do is you pass it a glide record and the field. So it knows which script on which record to go run. Now, some of you who have been doing JavaScript for a while may remember eval. Eval is sort of the great-great-great-grandfather of this, and it is very insecure. Do not, under any circumstances, use eval, or you could set yourself up for all kinds of craziness. Okay, GlideScopedEvaluator is a lot smarter about what you can pass in, what you can return, what you can do with it. Please, if you can't figure out how to run GlideScopedEvaluator, do not fall back to eval. I'm just going to put that out there as a very strong warning. Eval is evil. Wow, you could almost make a t-shirt out of that with one letter change. Then, of course, I have my action set direct to stay on the current. So this is simply going to run my script. Let's go create a UI action with that. So back to Studio, create, server, UI action. I'm going to call this, what do you think, run script? That ought to be helpful. And it's going to be on my lab table. That almost sounds like a place you want to work in a science laboratory. Set it up on my lab table. Do I have an underscore lab? I do. I should have just typed Lego. I don't need an action name. I'm not doing anything with the client script. Don't need to show this on insert, but I do want it to be a form button. And the condition, I'm going to leave it alone. Well, you know what? We could put in a condition that says the script is not empty. That would be helpful. But for the meantime, I'm simply going to instantiate the GlideScopedEvaluator and run the script. Okay? That's all it's going to do. Submit that. Bring back my form. Here's Abel's record. There's my run script. You know what? I could probably even make that a little more alarming. You might want to restrict this to like just admins or something. And reload that. We now have some form styles, primary and destructive, and yeah. So red, script, pay attention. And if I run this, it runs Abel had a script. This is the script from his record. I did not put this into the UI action. You saw that. And if I go to, say, the next record and run the one for Beth, run script, it says, Beth has a script too. So I can run these different scripts. Now, this is where it gets a little scary because you have to be very security aware of who has access to edit these scripts. There should be somebody who knows scripting on the Glide platform, because all somebody has to do is come in here and with the right permissions and the right cross-scope privileges, they can put in a Glide record, delete multiple, and your data's gone. Okay? But this gives you another way to make your apps data-driven. The script is data at this point. You can potentially, given your change control processes and procedures and policies, you could modify this in production. I don't recommend it. You probably want to modify it in dev or test and then bring those changes forward because it is script and it is changing the behavior of your application. But it's available in prod for you to see. Okay? Let's go one step further. Make sure I'm following along with my notes and I didn't miss anything. Okay, let's go one step further and ask it to pass in an attribute. I want to get some parametric information because that script is all fine and dandy and everything, but what if I have that vendor that's sending me some information and I want to parse that information, or I want to average up the number of incidents assigned to Abel, Fred, and whomever. So I go back here to my files, and I did not open the folder. Cursors. Let's go to File, Open, and open the folder, not just the file. That will get me a lot more mileage out of this exercise that I'm going to show you. So that opens up everything. Let's go to Beth's script and show you something. Modify that. So Beth's script number 2 has task count. What is task count? It's not identified in this script. But what I'm going to do is pass it in. You know, when you look at a business rule and you've got access to current, previous, and some other things that you're in Flow Designer and you've got inputs and outputs, there's those parameters that are passed to you that are made available to your script. You're like, where did these come from? Okay. This is kind of how they're done. Okay, with this background here, you've got a script, I'm going to run it. This is how we're going to do this exercise. So let's save that. It has an assumption, and this is part of when you design an application. What is that API that you want to use for passing things in and passing things out? Well, since this script is accepting task count, if I ran this right now, it would go, I have no idea what that meant, and my log would show that it tried to run the script and went, what is task count again? Because you didn't tell me, so I'm just going to throw a big old error. It's undefined. It may even say the word undefined in there if it's not defined. In this case, it went, not going to work for you today. So what I need to do is set up my UI action to pass that in. And to do that, I am going to update to UI action number 2. Let's walk through this. Same instantiation. This time, I'm going to use a script include that I built that does a task counter. Let's go look at the script include for that real quick in Studio. Underneath server development script includes, I have this lovely bit of artwork called task counter in my utils. Does a glide aggregate, you pass it a user ID, Fred, Abel, Beth, whomever. You pass it their sys ID and it goes, hey, Fred's got 132 tasks. Beth has 6, Abel has 15. Whatever it comes back with, it's going to return an answer. My UI action is going to take the output of that, which is going to be user tasks, and now look, I use a method called putVariable. Where did I get that? I got that from the docs or the developer site. You go look up GlideEvaluator, and it has evaluate script, which you've already looked at, takes a glide record and a string field, and you can also pass in some variables this way. Okay, you can also do, there's get variable, but I'm down here on put variable. Put variable, string name, and value. So I'm going to pass in a string name. It gives you a little example. Put X is 100, put Y is 200. Very simple assignments. I'm going to say task count. That's how my script is going to know what task count is. And user task is the value. Then this is just exactly the same. Go run the script on the current record. Okay, so let's take that. Put variable is my new great addition. Let's go to Studio, take my UI action, and update this. Kind of missed. Boom, done. So it's calling my utils, getting a task counter. Update that. I don't need to reload the form because everything is server side on this. When I run the script, it says, yep, you got a read operation. That's nice. That'll come up once. That's just your cross-scope APIs. And Beth has 318 tasks. Very cool. What if I took, notice that it didn't, it's also using some information from the current record. So it didn't say Beth literally, it said Beth from the script. Very cool. Let's go try that on Able. Where's my Lego lab? Lego lab. I think I call this Lego because I'm putting pieces together. And that was just kind of fun. I did this with Able. Save that. Run script. Now it says Able has 0 tasks. Makes sense. You don't assign tasks to someone without ITIL rolled, that kind of thing. Default out of the box demo data. So that's true. It's working with this script include to retrieve information. Now let's take it one step further and pass information from this running script. Here's where you might want a parser for each vendor. Okay, another use case where that's the use case I was using. It's getting this information in and saying, you know what, everybody's got their own way of doing things. So I'm going to solve that with regular expressions, replace, split, trim, cut, join, all that good stuff. And massage this information into an object that I can handle, that the rest of my script is going to expect in this format. So I can normalize, I can standardize that information to do that. Is this available in Global Scope? Yes, yes it is, because I know that the docs page that I had said scoped. If you also type GlideScopedEvaluator, it's called the same thing. There is a global page as well. So global GlideScopedEvaluator, filter that down to same method, same use case. Just realize that it's there, okay? That being said, keep in mind if you're trying to run scripts from one scope to another, you're going to have to be concerned about cross-scope privileges. If I'm running a global scope and I call my utils, you're going to have to prefix it with x underscore da 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 dot my utils, all that good stuff about running scripts across scope. So, good question. Thank you. Passing parameters from this script on my record back to, say, my utils or something else. Let's take a look at how that's done. And yes, I have another pre-baked script. So start out the same way, GlideEvaluator, calculate the user tasks, put that in a variable, nothing changed there, run the script, and now there's a get variable. It says, I expect that script to have a variable called answer or result or average or whatever you put in here. You can have multiples in there. It's going to, as you're running your script, you're going to be calculating or doing something. I like to return objects because it gives you a lot more than just one value, but you do what you want to do. It's going to extract the value of that into this answer. And it says, look, if it didn't work, if your script is completely flat out busted and it doesn't have an answer, I'm just going to throw an error message and go, you did it wrong. You go check your script. Otherwise, it's going to crash. Okay. If you try to manipulate something that's not defined, it's going to go, nah, not fun. If it did retrieve an answer, so I was smart enough to put a little error checking in here. And then, of course, here's our redirect to stay on the form. Let's take this, and first, of course, we will leave this script with no answer because we want to check our error checking. Let's put this into our UI action. Sorry about the scrolling. And paste, and save, and away we go. Okay, we've got our UI action. What happens if we don't have an answer in here and we say run script? Okay. Answer variable is not defined. It still prints out the message from the script because it expected to do that and gives me another cross-scope message. So if I run this again, it's going to give me just the pink and the blue going, Chuck, you didn't do something right. Well, let's have some fun with this and say answer equals 10. Save. Got to save it. Run script. And it says able has 0 tasks. Answer is 10. So whatever you put in this script, for example, let's take Fred here and update Fred's record. Doesn't necessarily have to be Fred because I think it's dynamic anyway. And we do percent tasks. Okay, there's another method in here called task percentage, and I am going to say, here, I should have a third version of this UI action, which I already showed you. Yes? Yes. I didn't do another put variable. I still have task count, and I have that information. Okay. It's going to calculate this and display it and return the answer. So let's get that up there, run it, and it says answer is Fred Luddy has 0.4% of all tasks. That is a heck of a number. Okay. And if you want to change that to a smart looking number, you do 2 fixed and put 2 in there. Save, run. Fred has 0.4% of all the tasks. So, not a bad day's work. We now have a way of extending the functionality. Again, security is paramount in this. Make sure you understand who can write to these scripts. Because again, all I've got to do is have the right ACLs and the right cross-scope privileges to say, guess what? var gr equals new glide record incident and gr.delete multiple. And next time somebody runs this, bye-bye all my incidents. Not cool. All right? So you could put a business rule on there, maybe, to scour your script. It's just text. You could do, hey, if there's an index of delete multiple, don't save this. That's one option you could use to prevent yourself from having somebody put in nefarious code. And lots of different ways you could approach that. Very powerful. Let me see that I got everything I wanted to talk about. Very flexible. You could trigger an integration, perhaps. When I run this script, go run this outbound REST API or something like that. Get the information back here. Could you do it synchronously? That requires another discussion about events and that kind of thing. So yes, if you use it, if your script triggers an event or your UI action triggers an event that goes and gets this information, you could do this. Okay, but I'm not going to get into that here. That way, if you have an integration that runs more than a few seconds, you're not holding the user hostage while you go and run that script. These are meant more for, hey, I'm going to do this real quick and be done with it. Or I'm going to use this at some piece of my structure. It's going to reference this lab record in this case, go run the code, and use my answer for something else. That generally happens in the background because some of these things could take a long time. Again, documentation referenced from docs or from developer.servicenow.com over at developer.servicenow.com. All right, there it is. Had to go get my bell. And again, thank you for watching today. Appreciate it very much. If you've learned something, go check it out. Go share it. Be helpful. I will not be doing a show on Thursday, July 2nd. I know I normally do these Mondays and Thursdays. at 2 p.m. UTC. ServiceNow has holiday for 2nd of July and 3rd of July. So Thursday and Friday are ServiceNow holidays, and I will not be doing this, but I will rejoin you next week on the 6th of July for an episode I haven't determined yet. I've got a couple of ideas. I just got to pull together what we want to cover and how I want to explain it. There might be a lesson learned. There's a whole lot that I've been doing in Flow Designer, and I've got these little tidbits that are coming up. So that's my lead horse at the moment in this race. So possibly Flow Designer, possibly something else. But I look forward to seeing you again Monday at 2 p.m. UTC, July 6th, for the next episode. And with that, I am going to bid you a fond farewell. Take care, be safe, be kind, and you will prosper as will others. Thank you very much. Take care.